presents the Champ Car World Series, powered by Ford. The sights, the sounds, the exhilaration of a 185-mile-an-hour through-the-streets brawl and festival of speed. 4 weeks ago on NBC Sports in San Jose, part of our coverage looked like a lightweight championship bout. The card, Tracy versus Tagliani. 2 weeks ago at Denver, PT again confronted by an enraged fellow driver. What happened? On the final corner, defending series champ Sebastian Bourdais passed Tracy. The move was for second and had championship overtones. Answering the challenge, Tracy drove right into the McDonald's machine, crashing both drivers out of the event. An infuriated Bourdais charged across the hot track and confronted Tracy before stalking off, leaving Tracy to hitch a ride back to the pits aboard teammate A.J. Allmendinger's winning number 7 Index machine. Today, we're in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, at one of the most fabled facilities in North America. For round 11 of the 2006 Champ Car World Series, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve on the banks of the historic St. Lawrence River. And welcome live to Montreal, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin, pleased to bring you coverage of the Champ Car World Series here on NBC Sports. A couple of days of Chamber of Commerce weather. Well, today, as you can tell, cold, windy, and rainy. It's been extremely challenging so far, but we will go racing. Meantime, Champ Car has been all abuzz the last couple of weeks with all the talk about the brawling between Paul Tracy, Tagliani, and then Bourdais. Tracy on probation after San Jose. He had tagged fine. Tracy gave up 7 championship points. And then after the skirmish 2 weeks ago on the final turn at Denver, Tracy's probation extended one more race. He was fined $25,000 additional dollars, and he forfeited 3 more championship points. We spoke to both drivers here this weekend. It's safe to say there's no love lost between Tracy and Bourdais.
No, I mean, I think it has nothing to do with our personalities. Obviously, we're very different, and we used to be friends, but we're not anymore. But it doesn't matter. I still respect him very much on the racetrack. I just like him to do the same with me. So that's bottom line, pretty much.
When he first came to the series, everything was fine. I didn't know him, he didn't know me, and everything was cordial. But as the years have progressed, we've had many incidents together. You know, I have an opinion on what happened. His opinion is opposite of mine, so we can agree to disagree with each other. That's just it's life. You can't be best friends with everybody in the world.
Derek Daly joins me. Derek, what about Paul Tracy? Lots of questions about PT.
And some of those might be, is he a gifted athlete? Is he a deranged individual? Or is he a thug? Don't know the answers, but I do know one thing. He is a promoter's dream because of the recent smackdowns and because of those caustic remarks.
Next time he wants to come by, he should take his helmet off. The French guys like to keep their helmet on.
Oh, that remark was an insult to all the French speakers, and it spawned headlines in every newspaper here in Montreal because of this fight between Sebastian Bourdais and his arch nemesis, Paul Tracy. And then, of course, when he got to the racetrack, there was boxers in the grandstands with helmets on also. Very much a love-hate relationship here this weekend. And Paul Tracy waved to his supporters. But then he got the Montreal and the Quebec hat because the t-shirts, as you can see, Chicken Little. And then, of course, the second line was Sugar Ray Tracy. And guess what he did? He used all those to taunt everybody, and he got the boos on a regular basis, and he taunted back. He was energized by the boos. And just moments ago, this is Madman Paul here, dressed in blue.
Nacho Libre.
Just a couple of seconds ago. However, believe it or not, despite the Tracy turmoil, this team is still very much focused on the job at hand.
Well, Derek, consider the team dynamic down here at Index Team Forsyth, and specifically A.J. Allmendinger, because the dynamic when he joined the team certainly has shifted. Paul Tracy didn't exactly welcome him with open arms when you came here, but now it's changed because you're the championship leader team-wise, and now what happened there in Denver between Sebastian and Paul Tracy now works in your favor.
Well, yeah, exactly. But, I mean, it still comes down to that the whole Forsyth Index team, we're working hard to be 1-2 every weekend, and if Paul gets in there and finishes second and takes points away from Sebastian and Justin, then great. But right now there's no team orders to let me win or stay ahead of Paul. Obviously, Paul's going to be hungry for a win, and we're both going to try to go out there and do it.
Lots of people hungry, but the big story may have started Paul Tracy. Now it's shifted to weather. Let's get to Cameron Steele.
Well, Jan, talking about the weather, it was beautiful and sunny here for a couple days, and all of a sudden it started dumping. There is standing water on the track, and one thing you'll take note of, this is a Bridgestone Potenza wet weather tire, and this is what the drivers are going to be driving on today. It is a little bit softer compound because there are two different tires. This is the softer of the two, should give them more grip. And one thing, when everybody starts talking about the rain and the weather, they start talking about Justin Wilson from Sheffield, England. One of the favorites here today for sure. A little bit of a note for you. He raced his first ever car race at the age of 16 in the rain, and he won it, and he's definitely in a good mood going into today's race.
4 races to go in the 2006 Champ Car Championship. Bourdais is in control, but Allmendinger and Wilson have a real shot at the title and a good battle for 4th. Meantime, everyone wants to know, will we see more drama here today? Sports coverage of the Champ Car World Series being brought to you today by Ford. Bold moves, they happen every day. And by Bridgestone Tires, passion for excellence. Welcome back. Cars are on the racetrack in wet conditions at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the Champ Car World Series Grand Prix of Montreal. Our Bridgestone Pole Award this weekend again to Sebastian Bourdais. For the 7th time this season, Bourdais took pole honors, his 25th career pole, and this is 4th season. This seen, of course, from earlier this weekend when the weather was a lot brighter and sunnier. And it is the 100th pole in the Newman Haas team's long and storied history. Bourdais locking up the season title, his 7th pole of the season. As we mentioned, Dominguez, his teammate Bruno Junqueira, A.J. Allmendinger, and Justin Wilson have each scored 1 pole apiece in the 11th round, up through the 11th round. Our Champ Car Grand Prix of Montreal starting grid powered by Ford. Bourdais in the McDonald's 1 on the pole, and his chief challenger A.J. Allmendinger in the Index car number 7. Row number 2 here this weekend shapes up like this. It will be Justin Wilson in the CDW car number 9, and Paul Tracy, Tracy's best ever start here in car number 3. He will line up in the Index Forsyth car. 3rd row, Oriol Serbia, the Gulfstream 6, Bruno Junqueira, the hole-in-the-wall Camps Newman Haas car number 2. Row 4, Will Power from Queensland, Australia, the Aussie Vineyards 5, Dan Clark in the 14, the CTE HVM car. 5th row, Andrew Ranger in the Walmart 27, and Nelson Philippe in car number 4. The 6th row, Charles Wolzman in car number 34, Alex Tagliani in the Aussie Vineyards machine. Antonio Pizzonia returns in the Rocket Sports 18, Jan Halen in the Muirmans 11, Mario Dominguez, Catherine Lake, Nicky Pastorelli, the rest of our 17-car field here this weekend. Well, Cristiano da Matta is again missing from the field here for the Rousport team, but he is improving. That's the good news for Champ Car fans. Our Michelle Beisner now with more on da Matta.
Hey, thanks, Rick. Cristiano da Matta, who suffered a head injury during testing in Elkhart Lake, is doing much better. And although there are major improvements to be made, Rousport President Jeremy Dale has assured that he is conscious and responsive to small commands. Now, the support here continues to be strong with the Kiki Push Please stickers on cars and with fans. Kiki, signifying his childhood nickname, and Push Please, a message from his Formula One days, is now a message to get well soon.
Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Montreal, the Champ Car World Series on NBC Sports. Alongside Derek Daly, I'm Rick Benjamin. As you can tell, it has been raining down to 60 degrees, very windy. We expect showers throughout the afternoon. We talked to several of those in today's field about what it's like to race these cars in the rain with 750 horsepower on these treaded rain tires on a very slick surface. Here's what they had to say earlier.
I like the rain. Yeah, I think that would be good. It would be excellent if it rained for race day on one occasion.
It's a little bit of a gamble for everybody, setup-wise, and actually for the drivers too. You're going to be guessing every corner.
This is a very, very slippery track. It's a slippery surface, and I'm going to talk to my engineer Eric about what tire they brought here. It all, if they brought the hard rain tire, it can be treacherous.
I'm hoping that we'll be able to, get a good car for the rain, and if it rains the whole race, hopefully we can be there at the end.
Last time I actually raced in the rain was go-kart, so even more reason to be crazy.
if you look at these pictures, you can imagine how crazy it might be. Jan?
And you heard the question asked, which tire did they bring? They brought the softer of the tires, and most of the teams are going for the full wet setup. One of the exceptions, Sebastian Bourdais did not change the car much from the dry setup. Could be a tough go.
And Justin Wilson said he likes driving in the rain. I'm not sure many drivers like driving in the rain, but certainly some drivers adapt very well to these type of treacherous conditions.
72 laps, just under 200 miles, the scheduled distance today at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Glad to have you with us for Bridgestone presents the Champ Car World Series powered by Ford. Ready to go racing. Green. Bourdais leading Allmendinger. Bourdais slips first. Allmendinger trying to get to the inside.
Allmendinger is not a fan of the rain. Oh, look at Bourdais is all over the place.
Bourdais hung up on the cushion. He was trying to dirt track around the corner, and Allmendinger gets by him, Derek.
The man who did not like the idea of having a race in the rain says the last time he drove in the rain was in a go-kart race all those years ago.
And we know from experience it's been almost 3 years since the Champ Car boys have run in the rain, and Catherine Legge, of course. This will change the mix dramatically here today, as you can imagine. You've run here in the rain, Derek.
I have run here in the rain in a Formula One car, and Bourdais does not look comfortable. He does not look comfortable, and here comes the madman menace Tracy right behind him. Look at the rooster tails from these cars.
A.J. Allmendinger, 4 wins on the season for the young American. He is your leader. He got the drop on Allmendinger in turn 2. Now, we heard Jan Bika say at the top of the broadcast a moment ago, the Newman Haas McDonald's team didn't change that race car to a full wet setup. We had a dry period shortly before we came on the air today where the rain was minimized. Field through the Ford hairpin on lap number 1.
Don't see Wilson looking good so far. Here's a replay at the start. Bourdais comfortably protects the inside line as he should because of the pole. Immediately he gets sideways. AJ sees Bourdais doesn't have much rear grip, but watch exiting here. Watch the back of Bourdais' red. Oh, there he is sideways. Allmendinger comes down the inside. Oh man, Bourdais has his hands full with that McDonald's car right now.
And A.J. Allmendinger, who got by him from the outside pole, perfect to be out in front in this situation. That's where you want to be. No rooster tails to bother.
Bourdais again, you have to have the delicate touch here. You cannot aggressively manhandle these cars. You try to pick a gear a little bit earlier so you don't get the wheel spin. Oh, Allmendinger bit sideways.
Trouble here for car number 4, Nelson Philippe. The CTE HVM car has a cut tire already. He will come to pit road. They'll slap a new Bridgestone. It's the outside front, the right front tire. Top 2 cars, Allmendinger. Bourdais now starting to get things going a little bit. He's closing back in on Allmendinger.
Usually get flat tires in these conditions when you hit somebody. Don't know who he might have hit yet. Again, the fishtail. Allmendinger on a completely different line, a wider line than Bourdais.
Nelson Philippe's team servicing the 4 car. We'll get an update from pit road in just a moment. Cameron.
Well, I can add on Nelson Philippe. One thing they did say going into the race, they were risking it a little bit more than the other teams, not running as much downforce as many of the other cars. They said they were going to take a little bit of a gamble, give him a little bit more speed on the straight lines if it does dry up, which it doesn't look like it's going to do right now. It is raining even harder than when they started.
See what Bourdais did. He's beginning to play with the lines. He's trying to find where the grip is. On board with Justin Wilson. Just look at the haze, look at the fog. We're literally 3 or 4 inches above his line of sight. Then you get to the brake zones. You follow the tracks. See these tracks here laid down by other drivers? You try and drive in those tracks right there because that's where the least amount of water is.
Good to know that we do have at least an on-board picture from the CDW car number 9. Didn't think with the ceiling that our helicopter would be able to get up high enough to allow that, but it's good that we have those pictures from Justin Wilson's vantage point. 1 win this year. Wilson rides 4th behind Paul Tracy. Everyone chasing the young gun, A.J. Allmendinger, bidding for his 5th win of the year.
Such an advantage for Allmendinger because he can see what's going on ahead of him. He doesn't have the haze, but look at the trees. Look at the leaves begin to fall all the way around this section here. But on the last lap, A.J. Allmendinger almost got it wrong.
Oh.
Catherine through the grass and still maintained the lead. This was the last lap just before, and Bourdais closed right up behind him.
Allmendinger the leader by 1.5 seconds over Bourdais. Tracy third. Wilson, Bruno Junqueira, who's won here in the past. Oriol Servia, who won here a year ago, his only Champ Car victory, and it came in relief of Bruno Junqueira. Trouble for Catherine Legge. She has spun the Bell Micro PKV Lola, backed it into one of the soft barriers here, and has knocked the rear wing askew. Catherine Legge's afternoon may be done, Derek. Looks as though there's damage to the rear axles on that car.
And Catherine has not been happy here. She did not run well in qualifying. Qualified 16th at a 1:22.9 when Servia was at 20.6. It was a long way from Servia. But Catherine, it looks like she wants to get towed out of there, but you can see that suspension is deranged.
Here's another look, Derek.
Bottom of your frame. She's already backwards as she leaves the racetrack here. Watch this. Boom.
That was a hard hit.
Love the energy absorption from those tires. 1, 2, 3 sets of tires to absorb the energy. I don't. Man, they might tow her out of there, but I'm not sure.
Full course yellow for the first time today. We've completed 3 of the 72 scheduled laps here at Montreal at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Huge crowds of fans all week. The rain has dampened that just a little bit, but there is a great crowd here. An onboard look here from the Walmart Tide number 27. And that is, of course, Andrew Ranger, the native Quebecois. He is very much a fan favorite here. All right, we will be back with more of the Champ Car World Series, the Grand Prix of Montreal, after these messages and a word from your local NBC stations. Coming up, your chance to enter the Champ Car Live Fast sweepstakes presented by Bridgestone. You can win a trip to the Grand Prix of Road America in a couple of weeks, a set of Bridgestone Potenzas, or an Auto Week subscription. Our grand prize winner collects a new Ford Mustang GT and will join us for the season finale in Mexico City. This week's code word is upcoming in the Champ Car Live Fast sweepstakes presented by Bridgestone. Denver winner Greg Snyder from Louisville, Kentucky, and his buddy Mark Hale joining us here in Montreal this weekend. I'm Rick Benjamin with Derek Daly. Cameron Steele, Jan Beekes on pit road under caution for an incident involving Catherine Legge. She spun backwards off the race course and backed into one of the soft barriers here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And the PKV team has brought the 20 car to pit road, and they are working to try to repair it. But there was rear suspension damage. Cameron Steele.
Well, I've caught up with the 1996 champ, Jimmy Vassar, one of the owners here at PKV. And Jimmy, they're getting ready to go to the green again. How scary is it going to it when you can't see it? You're not the first car. You can't see anything, right?
Well, you can see very little, especially at the 2x2 start. I think they did a great job getting through it. We couldn't see much here. And, you know, this is about as bad as it gets without red flag in it. We had a bad experience in 2002 in Australia with the start. I got upside down. A bunch of cars crashed. But, you know, as far as I can tell, you know, the guys are doing a pretty good job out there. Too bad for Catherine. I know these conditions are about as tough as they get, but it's going to be a long, long day.
It definitely is. The rain again falling harder. Jan?
And a longer day for Nelson Philippe. We saw that he made a pit stop. Here's why. You can see the wheel is severely broken. That's why the Bridgestone tire went down. There appears to be some kind of contact here. My guess maybe a curb. They're not able to speak with Nelson on the radio because of this rain. They've lost radio transmission. But you can certainly see when the tire goes down, it tears it up on both sides.
I suspected that, Jan, when I saw that down on that first lap. You usually get a puncture when you make contact with something. But look at the pictures here. Now, we may not be done with the rain yet because there are reports that it may not get any better than this, Rick.
Yeah, indications are there is another cell of thunderstorms just a couple of minutes away here from the Ile de Notre Dame, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And if that happens, Derek, you know, standing water is really the problem here, isn't it?
Standing water because of aquaplaning. In the dry here, they're 185 miles an hour, almost 190 miles an hour from this hairpin right here that we watch down this, what we call the front straight. When you get standing water, the tires cannot dissipate the water fast enough. It rides over the top of it, and you suddenly lose control.
Let's get on board quickly. Andrew Ranger in the Walmart Tide, car number 27. He's got a lot of supporters here this weekend. Cameron.
To say he has a lot of supporters is definitely an understatement. They've been going nuts for Andrew Ranger all weekend, and we just thought we'd give you a little update. He has signed on for the rest of the year. Walmart and Tide are going to be with him, bringing him through the rest of the season. Everybody very excited about that here at MyJack Conquest Racing.
And of course, Walmart is heavily involved in the Canadian Children's Miracle Network, which is supported by the race program. But look who's behind Bourdais. It is the madman menace himself in blue, Paul Tracy. Bourdais will know that, will be very aware that Tracy's behind him. No love lost here, so he's in the middle of the blue meat sandwiches. Look at Bourdais, look at the line he uses. Around the outside, very often in the rain, there's more grip on the outside. It's a little used piece of asphalt, and the edges of the stones of the asphalt have not been worn away, so they have more friction and very often more grip. That's one of the reasons they try and use that outside line. Again, you see him use a different line there, but Allmendinger, see the big twitch he had? Remember, this is 750 horsepower that you try and control with your right foot. There's no way to bring the horsepower in with an easier delivery here. The turbochargers are still controlled electronically, but you have a lot of horsepower that can do a lot of damage if you don't manage it properly. Bourdais ducks to the inside so as he can see, not because he needs more grip. He needs to be able to see where the brake zone is.
A.J. Allmendinger out in front, the young American from Colorado now trying to move to Toronto with his fiancée shortly. He is the leader, won 4 times so far this year, won at Denver 2 weeks ago. Bourdais right there as they negotiate the Ford hairpin. There's Tracy third, Wilson fourth.
Now Bourdais used Allmendinger's line that time. He cannot decide where the grip may or may not be, and we are full course yellow again.
Second time today on lap number 5 of 72, full course yellow. Pit road is closed once again. Allmendinger continues to lead after getting the drop on Bourdais. Started on the outside pole. Everyone tiptoed to the green. Bourdais was in front when they came over the start-finish line and quickly thereafter. But Allmendinger was able to muscle by him in the first couple of corners, and that could have been the winning move.
And there's Tracy, qualified 4th here. Believe it or not, he's never led a lap here. Maybe even a more interesting statistic for Paul Tracy, he's only led 2 laps this whole season long. But he said to me after qualifying, he doesn't go well here. This is not one of his great racetracks. So he was actually pretty happy with his 4th place qualifying, being the best he's ever done here.
He's never led a lap here, he's never been on the podium here, but his teammate Allmendinger, the 4 wins since joining the Forsyth Index team, going into Portland, his first ever win in the series. Back at Portland in June, he reeled off 3 in a row. It's been a tough weekend so far up until today. He cooked a motor at the start of qualifying Friday, never ran a lap in that qualifying session.
And actually that was a blown up turbocharger as opposed to a Cosworth engine that exploded. Then on Saturday, gets it wrong down to the hairpin. Trying to get this thing on the limit, goes on to the Bridgestone Reds, and again overshoots, and that was over turns 3 and 4.
Still managed to come up with an outside pole in Saturday's qualifying. He was second quick. Now, Champ Car officials are going to display the red flag as we work lap number 7. We've completed 6 of the 72 laps, but the red flag is coming out. And it appears you have to think that that is because of the weather conditions. Catherine Legg behind the wall after that early spin on lap number 3 when she belted the wall backwards. Everyone else on the racetrack, Nelson Philippe, they fixed his car and he's back out. The red flags being displayed here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And Derek, as we said, heavy rain, standing water. Even with the rain tires and a rain setup, you can't always run these cars.
Because of the sheer speed. So Tony Cotman, our race director, would have made the decision purely on safety grounds. He believes the amount of water now that he sees on this racetrack will not allow these cars to run safely at racing speed. Safely in quotation marks, because racing is never safe.
Well, Sebastian Bourdais on pole here, but take a look at some of the things he's negotiated. Almost hit the wall after knocking off the fast lap on Friday. Derek, he went through the weeds, across the corner, ended up crossways. Paul Tracy, his nemesis, was right there. Could have been a bad moment. Bourdais able to pull away.
And that was not his worst of the weekend either, because right before he did the pole here in the morning time, he smashed the wall on the outside.
A little bit of a wing problem in the right front corner. Here it is.
Watch this. Watch him hit the curb right there. Watch the wall. Boom!
Again, he hit one of the soft barriers, which really saved the race car for him.
Mangled the right front corner, but then came back to the adulation of all the French speakers who hate Paul Tracy.
I think a lot of people feel that Sebastian does not show his emotions nearly as much as some other drivers, and generally I'd say that's pretty true. But you could tell he was fueled up by the French folks, the French-speaking folks here in Quebec. They really responded to him. That was after Saturday qualifying when he was fastest again, jumped out of the car, raised his hands, and the fans were on their feet saluting him.
One of the most gifted drivers we've ever seen in Champ Car racing, without a doubt. Kenny Subik told me this morning as he watched the rain just come down in sheets, he believed Newman Haas adapts to the environment as good, if not better, than any other team. So he thought Sebastian was in pretty good shape. But he was all arms and elbows coming off that first two corners.
Everybody's going to be in a situation like this. I mean, you're basically driving a sprint car with the engine out back here with all the horsepower. Now, Justin Wilson in the CDW car number 9. 1 win on the season for Wilson. 3rd in the championship at the moment. Wilson, a guy with from Great Britain, a lot of experience racing in the rain. He was looking forward to it. Cameron Steele.
Well, I've caught up with his team owner, Carl Russo. And Carl, what was Justin saying in the car? Was he talking about the conditions, the visibility, how much water's on the track, or was he saying anything at all?
Yeah, he was saying, let's see, things like, it's wet out here. I can't see much. I can't see much down the straightaway. Where are we? You name it. I mean, obviously, these cars, the Bridgestone rain tires, are designed to pull the water up off the surface, which makes the car stick better. The problem with that, obviously, is the guy behind you gets a nice, face full of spray. So it's really difficult conditions right now, and as you can tell, the rain has picked up quite a bit.
Definitely more rain coming down. Drivers are on pit lane. Jan?
And you were just talking about Justin Wilson. We were just talking to your owner. What's it like out there, Justin?
I could see nothing when I was behind the pace car. Never mind when we're running at speed.
Now, you're a guy who's driven a lot in the water. What is it? Is it the standing water that's the issue?
No, it's just the water in the air is so bad you can't see a thing. I'm 4th in line and I can't see a single thing. I'm just looking for the bridges overhead. When I see a bridge, I'll start to brake.
You have gone what type of setup on the race car? Some people are on wet, some are on dry. Did that make it more difficult?
No, at this stage, setup's got nothing to do with it. It's visibility. We're half throttle down the straights, just trying to work out what's going on.
Thank you, Justin.
Wow, great job, Jan. Get right in the middle of the mix there. Wilson raced Formula One here in the Minardi back in 2003 and comes from England, so grew up in these type of conditions. But it's interesting, he just can't see. That is one of the major problems.
Well, Justin Wilson has had an interesting season here at Portland. Locked up the brakes, flat spotted a tire, took him out of contention at Cleveland. A trip into the barrier.
And this was a broken front suspension that sent him, boom, into the concrete wall.
Edmonton, though, a big day for the CDW team. Wilson with a great pit road decision and a good move by Sebastian Bourdais. Just past halfway, put the 9 car in front. Wilson collecting his first victory, so far his only victory of 2006. Justin Wilson, 3rd in the championship.
With Rue Sports, and one of the problems, oh man, look at the rain that is just coming down here in sheets. One of the issues now, if Justin Wilson is to make a legitimate run at this championship, he's lost his wingman. He's lost Cristiano da Matta. Yeah. Therefore, he's lost the engineering support. He's lost the information. So he's now runs by himself, trying to go against 2-car teams like AJ Allmendinger and Paul Tracy. I happen to think that will be a disadvantage as these last 4 races unfold.
Well, the rain's coming down harder here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Quebec, Canada on NBC Sports. The covers are going on the cars. Booster batteries are in place. 6 laps are complete and the red flag has been displayed. Allmendinger, your leader. Bourdais and Tracy round out the top 3.
Montreal may be on an island, but more often than not, it's the center of major celebrations. With over 3 million people living here and most of them speaking both French and English, the city that resembles both New York and Paris gives you something to do all the time. So when you come to Montreal, you can experience joie de vivre, the joy of life.